Mm. Hey guys, how you doing? We made it. We made it. Here we are a streaming. Here we are a streaming, a streaming, a streaming. Here we are a streaming. We're streaming here today. I'm gonna open up with a nice song. I love. You guys know me, man. Like I love this tune. This is Black Hole Sun, right? By the great and powerful Chris Cornell. May he rest in peace. In my eyes, indisposed, in disguises no one knows, hides the face, lies the snake, the sun in my disgrace. Boiling heat, summer stench, neath the black, the sky looks dead. Call my name through the cream and I'll hear you scream again. Black hole sun, won't you come and wash away the rain? Black hole sun, won't you come, won't you come, won't you come? Stuttering, cold and damp, steal the cold. Whoop, whoop, whoop. See, if I don't see it, steal the cold wind, tired friend. Times are gone for honest men, sometimes far too long for snakes in my shoes. A walk and sleep. In my youth I pray to keep heaven sent hell away. No one sings like you anymore. Black hole sun, won't you come and wash away the rain? Black hole sun, won't you come, won't you come? Black hole sun, won't you come and wash away the rain? Black hole sun, won't you come, won't you come, won't you come, won't you come? Such a powerful song, man. Just a song about entropy, a song about, like, if you actually go and watch the music video for this song, it's so obviously like a plea to end the sort of suburban misery, the just like the fake being pleased with yourself, right? Living in this suburban life where you're just mindlessly dealing with like mowing your lawn and happily waving at your neighbors, and the falseness of the whole experience. How it's like everyone is pretending to be happy because they got exactly what they wanted, but in the end they're still miserable, right? That this was a big critique throughout the 90s of the post-Reagan suburban ideal, that everyone got a house and was working away, and it was successful, right? People succeeded and they got what they wanted, and they were still completely miserable. That the quote-unquote American dream in the end is something of an insidious nightmare, and beneath it all is this falling into entropy that we're merely distracting ourselves from. And that's what this song is really nailing, and what it's really got to say about the world is we do everything we can to ignore this obvious, and it's obvious, it's right there, to ignore this collapsing towards entropy that is our lives, that is our basic existence. And this is in a way like a plea or a praise song, right? My background is Christianity, right? Like a song like this is like black hole sun, won't you come and wash away the rain? Like it's a prayer in a way. Just that's fundamentally saying, let's just get on with it. Let's just get on with it. Hey Ruth, how you doing today? Good to see you. Always a pleasure to see you, Ruth. One of the very first people. I've been thinking about this a lot, man. Like I'm amazed. I'm amazed. I talk to people who have been doing live streams. I talk to people who've been doing live streams all along and who've been doing lots of stuff, and they tell me, like, yeah, when I was getting started, I would basically be talking to no one for like weeks on end. And it's never happened to me, man. And Ruth, you're one of the early ones. You're one of the early adopters, right? So as I move forward, as I become rich and famous, Ruth, I'll never forget you. Nice and sunny, lucky you. Lucky you. Rainy, dreary day here in the city of Toronto, right? You're nearer to Ottawa though, Ruth. Yeah, so you got sunny ways over in Ottawa, right? That's what's happening. Sunny ways. Yeah. Who am I to judge? Also me. I'm really, really, really looking forward. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Dan Levy does after Schitt's Creek. After Schitt's Creek, I'm really like his next project is going to be very, very interesting, and I look forward to see because he's going to have a lot of creative freedom, right? And I look forward to seeing what he does outside of his father's influence, right? Like Schitt's Creek is very much like Eugene Levy's kind of baby project, which obviously he wanted to elevate his son, which completely makes sense. And but now Dan Levy is like he's been escalated to the top, and so now he can pursue his own stuff. And I'm very, very curious to see what he's going to do. So keep my finger on the pulse on that. Maybe I should do some research on the subject. I literally have done no research on the subject. For all I know, he's already released something. Anyway, Kevin Toohey. Have you been in here before, Kevin? I don't know. There's so many new people and new stuff and all this kind of stuff. USA pirates trying to steal Iranian oil. Yeah, of course, dude. This is becoming the United States' only method of actually interacting with the world any longer. That they can't launch full-scale invasions anymore, right? Because the nuclear threat is too real and too apparent. They can't, and on top of that, like major superpowers are starting to be able to create defenses against these things. Like quantum computing is starting to be real. Hypersonic missiles are starting to be real, right? Like the United States, its only competitive advantage on the world stage has been military, and now that's starting to wane. That even though, sure, they've got like technically they've got the bigger military, they can't get through like the Great Firewall. They can't get through this stuff. And all they have left is terrorism. That's all they've got left. Like they can't even do full-scale invasion and occupation tactics any longer. Like it's just not part of what they're capable of doing. And you're seeing this in their military documentation. Anytime they come up with plans, like when the Rand Corporation released its document, Thinking Through the Unthinkable, which was their strategy for invading China, it essentially came down to marauding tactics. It was essentially just hit and run terrorism, right? Which makes sense because the Hague, which is the international organization that was responsible for putting the Nazis on trial post-World War II, have declared the United States a terrorist organization. And the United States has, in return, said that they have no intention of cooperating with the Hague, right? So that even if a group of people managed to arrest the war criminals that exist in the United States today, like George W. Bush, the United States government and the military wouldn't cooperate, right, with the Hague. So, like, the United States is committing to international terrorism. That's what it is on the world stage now. They're not interested in diplomacy. They're not interested, like, outside of just, like, feigning diplomacy. But even if they were committed to diplomacy with Biden, like the Republicans aren't, right? Certainly, especially under Trump. So all they've got left is piracy, right? Like, that's it. And especially as they continue to commit to sanctions. So eventually people will just stop trading with them because they're crazy, right? Because they've lost their mind, and there's only 300 million of them, right? Like, in the world, like in the world economy, they're so tiny. Hey, have you read the article "Rampant Inflation Pushing Canada's Low-Income Workers Even Further into Poverty" on World Social's website? I think I took a look at that a few days ago, but I'll happily bring that up. Like, World Socialists. Yeah. These guys are great, by the way. These guys are great. Any document that comes out of these guys, you really should be paying a lot of attention to. Like, these guys are doing top-notch reporting, top-notch work. As you can see, right? Like, headline by headline, right? Top Democrats, union bureaucrats defeat DSA-backed candidate. Makes sense. And they're reporting on it in a way that makes sense, right? They're reporting on it in a way that is actually telling something of the truth. Public service union Veredi ends 50-day strike by Berlin health workers. These sorts of things. Where would I find it, do you think? Capitalism and inequality. Here you go. Yeah. Rampant inflation pushing Canada's low-income workers even further into poverty. Yeah, absolutely. And then on top of that, like, you're seeing companies also raise prices, right? So it's the classic, like, they're raising prices, wages are going down, and then you've got inflation, and it just, like, dook, right? Like, once, and everybody's like, oh, what's going on with the Great Resignation? Like, what are you talking about? Not only are people not even able to pay their bills with these jobs, like, straight up, like, why would anyone actually work for you if it doesn't pay their bills? And as rents go up, and as inflation goes up, and remember, the inflation that they're reporting is 4.4%. Oh, okay, so they're saying 4.1%. Oh no, sorry. Okay, so 4.1% increase in inflation, but a 4.4 increase in prices, right? So the value of your currency is in decline while prices are rising. There just comes a point where people can't actually participate in your economy. Like, it just doesn't make sense for them to commit to like, they're not even getting wages to pay their bills, right? And what's so dangerous about the period of time that we're in, and I have seen no one commenting on this, not even an organization I respect commenting on this, which is that the people at the top of this genuinely do not care. Right? Like, every time there's like a talking about this as if it's like a mistake or an oversight, or if it's like, oh, you know, sure, these guys are greedy, but they'll turn around, and once they see that, like, it's required and all this, like, no, like, they don't care. Like, they don't care. like if this whole system collapses, right? And they extract the maximum amount of wealth that they can out of the populace, right? They'll just shrug and go like, oh, okay, oh well, right? Oh, yeah, that business isn't really working anymore, but they don't care. They don't care about providing anything. They don't care about any of that kind of stuff. They have billions and billions and billions of dollars. They don't care. They're going to go retreat to some island somewhere, right? And just leave us alone, and leave us to, well, not leave us alone, obviously, but just leave us to it, right? And, like, why would they, if you had $100 billion, why would you give a shit? Why would you care? Like, this billionaires are inherently dangerous. Like, and it's inherent that they're dangerous. Even a benevolent billionaire, right, will eventually collapse the economy. And they'll collapse it because they're incapable of providing for people on a one-to-one basis, right? It's just and the existence of the billionaire ensures that there will be the existence of poverty. Pretty soon, the only affordable meat will literally be insects. Yeah, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Like, it's going to happen that way, right? Like, that for hundreds of thousands of Canadians, if not millions of Canadians, it's already happened, right? And certainly for Americans, right? It's already happened. They are already in a place where the wages be on offer cannot pay for the bills at all. And it's only getting worse, right? So it's going to start affecting more and more people. Your typical working class or your middle class people are just going to be thrown out just like the lower classes already have been. Like, it's a vortex. It's a vortex that's sucking everything down. And the people at the top of it don't care. And why don't they care? Because it's never going to affect them, right? The worst thing that's ever going to happen to them is, my business isn't working anymore. Oh, well, I'll just take my $100 billion, right, and be king, right? That's their worst case. Their worst case is that they'll just be a king. That's it, right? They'll have a private military, and they'll have like their own agricultural base to feed their own people and all of this kind of stuff. But they don't give a shit. Like, they don't care if like people out in Sudbury are suddenly completely abandoned. It doesn't matter to them, right? It doesn't matter to them at all. And I'm just not seeing anybody actually state this as an obvious fact. And it is an obvious fact at this point. Like, the billionaire class does not, like, look at Jeff Bezos, for Christ's sakes. Like, this guy's just shooting rockets into space, doesn't give a fuck. Doesn't care at all. Like, where is an article that is saying the billionaires do not care about us? Like, they only care about us insofar as they can exploit us and their concern of revolt. That's it. So they're kings. And it's just obvious now. It's so obvious that I can't even really get mad about it. You know? I'm just like, yeah, it's right in front of your face. It's completely clear. It's structural, right? It's structural. Like, the reason why frauds like Jordan Peterson are able to attain the popularity that they have, right, is because there is no structural analysis in the society. And so Jordan Peterson comes along and he has some kind of structural analysis, even though that structural analysis is childish and very reductive and stupid, frankly, like focusing on completely the wrong things. I was listening to a recent Chapo release, right? And they nailed him. They said straight out, they were just like, oh no, so capitalism's not the problem, right? Because Peterson is notoriously pro-capitalist. Capitalism's not the problem. The problem are these small group of postmodernists who are influencing Disney cartoons, right? Like, that's stupid, right? That's very, very stupid position to take. But because there is no structural analysis going on in our society at all, so it's not in the media, it's not in the news. No one is doing a structural analysis outside of like figures like Richard Wolff, Chris Hedges, right? That it's opened up the door to all these frauds. When if you actually do a structural analysis of your society, you see that not only is this thing destined to collapse, but that the people at the top of it don't care. Like, they don't care. Like, and this is really what it's come down to. Like, I found this meme here, and I'm like, yeah, like this is exactly it. Is that I don't know how to explain to you that you should care about other people. Our disagreement is not merely political, but a fundamental divide on what it means to live in a society. And that's absolutely the truth. And this bears out in like the anti-mask conversation, right? That there are large groups of people that are so put out by the idea that they have to put a piece of cloth over their face while they're inside a Walmart, right? And it's because they simply do not care about other people. They don't care at all. And they'll say it straight. I've seen people in public, on the public record, saying things like, my freedom matters more than your life. My freedom to do what I want matters more than your ability to have health and safety. Like, this is a complete and total fundamental breakdown of the very concept of society itself. That if the people in the society stop caring about each other, then you don't actually have a society any longer. And everything just breaks down into apes throwing shit at one another, which is what we're seeing, right? And it's going to get worse, and it's going to get more aggressive. The inflation that's happening right now, like, the solution to inflation is to tax wealth away. That's how you reduce inflation, right? Inflation happens when you print money, which we did through the pandemic a lot, right? Which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. Money's not real, right? The government should print it and use it for what it needs to use it for, right? But to deal with the inflation, you need to find pools of dead money and tax it away. You can also find pools of money that are actually being used, right? Which is what austerity is, right? You find pools of money that are actually being used, and you go after those pools of money. So like your healthcare system and all these, in an effort to privatize them, right? That's what austerity is. And that will also deflate your economy. So, and this is what the liberals are going to do. They're not going to go after the pools of dead money, the capitalist class. They're going to go after working people, and they're going to go after public services, right? That's what they're going to go after in an effort to control this inflation. But of course, as they do that, they're throwing more and more people into poverty and more people on the street, and they're sending more and more money into the hands of a billionaire class that is actively seeking to abandon us. So, like, the whole tax the rich thing is all well and good. Like, hey, Corrine, how you doing? Everybody in the chat, Corrine Demis, my cousin. So be extra nice to Corrine. I'm definitely gonna, at around 7 o'clock, Corrine, I'm gonna play you some of my songs, okay? So stick around. And any questions, anything you want to talk about, Corrine, let's talk. I'm so stoked that you're here, actually. How wonderful. Oh, how wonderful. I love it when, like, friends and family get in the chat. It's so nice. Imagine if all the soldiers in World War I or World War II said, I don't care if our countries are destroyed and millions of people died because I would rather stay home. Exactly, Ruth. Like, this is what's so wild to me about this conversation, right? Like, my grandparents sacrificed their lives, right? Like, literally sacrificed themselves into a war effort to fight against the existential threat that was the Nazis, right? And we can't be arsed to put, like, a mask on our face, right? Like it's staggering. Like, it's staggering. The amount of sacrifice that our grandparents went through, like, and the self-sacrifice that they put themselves through has completely been betrayed. We have completely betrayed those sacrifices. And there's just no other way to say it, right? If you want to talk about it from a like, support the troops perspective, well, we've betrayed those people completely, without question. Hey, do you remember the beginning of the pandemic when they tried to, like, cat typing? That's so funny, dude. Okay, let's pause for a minute here. Oh, this one goes away. Every day we do a number draw. Pick a number between 1 and 10, and the great and powerful and majestic David Lynch will draw a number. I'm gonna go.
Here
with
we go for
10.
today's
I'm
number.
going with 10.
It's November 4, 2021.
You gotta pick a number. One and 10.
10
Let's
balls. Each ball has a number.
Each ball has a number.
Numbers
Got a 5 from
1
Ruth.
through 10. Swirl.
Come on, Matthias. I know you're in the
numbers.
chat. Corrine, I know you're in the chat. Where's your number? Swirl of numbers.
Pick a number.
Here we go. We got a 6 from Major. How you doing, Major? Good to see you.
Today's number is
5. Ruth. Sparkles, rainbows. Boo, boo, boo. That's nice. It's nice that you got that energy, man. I love it when I pick the number, man. When I pick the number, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel somehow connected to the magical wonder that is David Lynch. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, they tried to make us all think we were at war with COVID. Honestly, like, I don't mind that. I don't mind the, like, because I keep saying on the channel, we need to have a war effort against, climate change, right? That, like, global warming, we should focus on it like it's a war effort, and we should restructure our economy to be a war economy. Like, I'm completely fine with this idea of, like, go to war against climate change, go to war against COVID. I mean, we completely bungled it. Like, we completely bungled the COVID-19 response, right? Which is why we're getting into the endemic period, right? Where people are just shrugging and being like, well, I guess we'll just live with it, right? Lonnie, you got a 5 too? Good for you. Good for you, Lonnie. But likening Trudeau to Churchill is a fucking joke. Like, that's a fucking joke. I mean, and also not a good thing to do. Like, Churchill was a raging racist, a genocidal maniac. Like, if you actually dig into Churchill's history, like, yeah, sure, he fought against the Nazis and all that kind of stuff. He also committed, like, mass atrocities throughout Africa, and put a plan on the table to invade the Soviet Union after World War II. Like, the plan for the Allies was to continue the war after they defeated Germany and Japan and continue it into the Soviet Union. And it was the only thing that prevented them from doing it is that the Soviet Union created its own nuclear bomb. So it was just like, I mean, that was Churchill, baby. That was Churchill. The neighborhood would have never let anyone go without a mask. This would have been the right thing to do. I mean, like, I don't get why people are so butthurt about it. Like, at first I was like, oh, a mask, and I just felt kind of clumsy about it. And now I'm just like, keys, phone, like, keys, wallet, mask. Like, it's just part of the situation now, right? Like, I wouldn't walk out of my house without my keys. I don't walk out of my house without my mask. And, like, putting a mask on, it's not a big ask. It's honestly not a big ask. And since I have been, since the pandemic, I usually get sick like 3 times a year. And since the pandemic started, I haven't been sick once. And there's big reports coming out saying that because of the mask wearing, we're actually killing variants of the flu, right? Like, there are variants of the flu that have just been in the populace, but because everybody's been putting on their mask and washing their hands, we've been killing off variants of the flu, right? Like, that's big news. Like, that's such a good thing. It's so good that we're killing off variants of the flu. A healthier populace, right? Isn't that what we want? I think I'm going to just keep wearing the mask, man. I think it's so built into me now that it's like keys, wallet, mask. And like, if people grind my gears on, I'll be like, no, it's just public health, man. Like, it's fine. Like, the mask works. It works as a public health issue, even outside of COVID, right? Even outside of COVID. So I just think, like, go into a place, wear a mask, right? Just hand sanitize, wash your hands, right? Real straightforward shit. Like, and there's no, and like, the people who are walking around being like, it's your freedom, and it's like, yeah, it's my freedom, bud. I'm free to do this, right? I'm free to wear a mask. You're free to not wear a mask. It's fine, right? Oh, so catch me up on what is happening with the basic income movement. Do you know anything about the push to create a $2,000 monthly income for all disabled Canadians? Is that still a thing? So a bunch of prominent Canadians, like celebrities and senators and things like this, just sent a letter to the Parliament saying to fast track a monthly income for disabled Canadians. It's not going to happen, right? Like, let me be like as clear as I possibly can be about the basic income thing. The Liberals are not interested. They're not interested in doing it, right? Like, they put forward the CERB which was a $2,000 monthly income, right? They put forward the CERB because they were afraid for themselves, right? They didn't quite know what COVID was. They knew it could affect the rich and the wealthy. And so the rich and the wealthy were panicking, right? And so they pulled the switch on the CERB, which they got out in a week, right? It didn't take them any time whatsoever to get the CERB in place, right? Which tells you how easily they could implement a basic income. And since that time, all they've been doing is dismantling the CERB. And recently, actually, they finally got rid of the CRB completely, which is plunging hundreds of thousands of people into poverty. Like, we're going to see a huge spike in homelessness now because of this. Like, it's very straightforward, and it's completely the case, right? It's completely the case that we are in a state of abandonment, right? Like, I don't know what I need to say to make this clear to people any longer, right? The liberals are working with the billionaire class in order to abandon the populace, to maximize the amount of suffering that can be inflicted on the populace so that they will go back to accepting their low-wage, shitty jobs. But the problem is that those low-wage, shitty jobs now no longer even pay the bills. And also on top of that, and I didn't say this earlier, but it's absolutely the truth, people are starting to realize, like, wait, why am I flipping burgers in the middle of the fucking apocalypse? Right? Why am I working in the middle of the apocalypse? Like, what wage would they have to pay you to go into a building that was literally on fire and flip burgers? Like, what wage would they have to pay you? The answer for any sane person is none. Right? There's no wage that you would accept to go into a building that was on fire and make food for people. Right? You wouldn't do it. If they paid you $1 million, you wouldn't do it. Why? Because your life matters more, right? And lots of people are putting together like, oh, this is the fucking apocalypse. Like, shit is going to collapse. We are in a free fall collapsing moment now. And our leadership is doing nothing to prevent it. 0% prevention. 0%. Yeah, they got the war part, not so much the effort part, right? Which, that's a great way of saying it, Major, right? Like, they got the propaganda part. They didn't actually do anything, right? Not really. I mean, here in Canada, it's been slightly better because they implemented the CERB in order to save their own skin. But now they've just they've spent all their time dismantling it. And that's the NDP too. And like, there is a movement, there is a basic income movement that is still fighting, but it's basically fighting along liberal lines, which is to say that they're sending sternly worded letters, petitions. You know, liberals love petitions, right? And every so often they'll go out and stand in front of a building and get a photo op or something like that, right? So like 100 people will come out and they'll stand outside a building and get a photo op with some politician who's in support of it, right? Or who at least says they're in support of it. But none of that is going to matter, right? They don't care about any of that. They don't care if you go and walk by the building. They don't care if you write a sternly worded letter. They don't care. That, like, the Canadian Senate, for God's sakes, the Canadian Senate sent a letter to the Parliament saying they should pass a basic income, and they're still not doing it, right? At this stage in the game, the only thing the Liberals are going to respond to, the only thing any of these parties are going to respond to, is a surrounding of the halls of power. It's literally the only thing left, right? And you're starting to see this happen in the United States, by the way. Things are starting to get real in the United States. So if you don't know who this is Joe Manchin. Okay, Joe Manchin is a Democrat in the Democratic Party. He plays the role of the obstructionist in the Democratic Party. The reason why important bills are not being passed is because of Joe Manchin, right? Now this ties into a much larger narrative where the Democrats, they know that Joe Manchin is doing this and they're on side with him. They understand he's just playing the role of the obstructionist, and if it wasn't him that was doing it, there would be someone else doing it, like Cinema or anybody, really. But people are responding to this, that he is the linchpin obstructionist, and this is what's starting to happen to him.
We want to live! We want to live!
Yeah, Dan Box is rotating Bill and is exactly right.
We want to live. 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 Everyone's life. We want to live. 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 We want to live.
And this is what needs to start happening. This is what needs to start happening, right? But it needs to start happening on a much larger scale. Like, good start, and like harassing and haranguing people like Joe Manchin is very important to do. But eventually, this movement will, like, and we know this is what's going to happen, guys. Like, it has to happen, right? And why do we know it has to happen? Because it's happened before. Right? It happened throughout the 60s with the civil rights movement, the free love movement, and the hippies and all that. And it happened in the 40s with the rise of communism, socialism, with the unionists, right? We know that this stuff is what's going on. We know it's what needs to happen because it's the only thing that our system responds to. It's the only thing that our system actually responds to. It doesn't respond to anything else, which is why our system is a failure. Right? It doesn't work. Can you imagine? Like, the only way that you can get anything done in your system is if the entire populace surrounds the halls of power. Like, that's a failed system. That's a system that doesn't work. Right? What are you guys saying? We are hoping, but with Trudeau running the country, nope. He's giving people over a 75 a raise so that when they die off, they don't have to spend more. Yeah. Yeah, we all need to abandon these major political parties. That's exactly right. Like, there's no reason to support them, right? Their policy is a policy of abandonment. That's their policy. That's what they're fighting for. They're fighting to abandon everyone. I may need help moving into the garden soon. What does that mean? What does that mean, pissed off? You're not, are you becoming a gardener? I'm going to print up a bunch of vote other bumper stickers. Vote communist, man. Vote communist. Like, if you're going to vote other, vote communist. Write in communist. The whole family is corrupt, yeah. Happy Thursday, John, fellow comrades. Hope all is well, even though we know things are not. Yeah, solidarity is what matters, DM. Our solidarity, the fact that we're in it all together, right? That we're in it all together. That's what matters the most. Because it's that solidarity that's going to push us all through. It's that solidarity that's going to make things better for us. Let's see what else I got. Yeah, this is exactly right. World on fire, pandemic unabated, fascism rising. My boss, how's data analysis going? Like, I wonder why people are quitting their job, right? I wonder why people are fleeing the burning infrastructure, right? Like, it's the whole thing is coming down. It's obvious that it's coming down. It's right in front of your face. Like, quit your job, go on strike, sabotage, right? Like, these are the things that we have to start doing. My doctor took me out of work on a leave of absence, no income, can't make rent, gonna move into the park. No shit, eh? Are you serious about that, dude? Shit, dude. Right in time for Christmas, eh? You direct message me, okay, bud? Direct message me with something, and if you need any help or assistance or anything, if you need a place to crash for a little while, right? Just send me a message, okay, on Discord, and I'll see what I can do to help. God damn it, that sucks, dude. If the doctor's taking you out on leave of absence, can you not get support? Can you not get a financial support? Like, it's a doctor that's doing it to you, right? Like, it's. Fuck. No, but the disability services here in Canada sucks. We give less help to the disabled than we do than we give to than the United States, right? Like, we're such a fraudulent society. Like, we don't give a fuck at all. my whole point with the vote other idea is to send a message to the major parties that can make the majority parties think that we have the power. Wishful thinking, maybe. I mean, yeah, I know exactly what you're thinking, Matthias. Like, for sure. But if you really want to scare these motherfuckers, a rising communist movement scares these guys more than anything else. Because they understand at the heart that a rising communist movement is a revolutionary movement. That what the communists want is a revolution. Like and not like revolution like Bernie Sanders style revolution. Like for real, like no capitalists are gone. We're going to incarcerate these guys. Like we're talking like Soviet or Chinese style revolution. Like fuck you capitalists. It's the holidays. Please make the effort to donate $25 to John's Patreon. Make him not homeless. It would make me happy. We need to help each other. We're all there. We have here, and John's our voice. That's so nice of you to say, DM. Always going to bat for me, bud. Always going to bat. I do have a Patreon. If you're donating $1, maybe consider raising up to $5. There's so many people who come in here, man, who are telling me that they're going to experience homelessness and it's going to happen soon. There's so many people coming in here talking about that. And it's fucking unacceptable. It's completely unacceptable. We are an extremely wealthy society. We're an extremely wealthy society. The people who have these enormous sums of wealth, they don't even need it. They don't even need it. What we are experiencing is a spiritual crisis. Above all else, it is a spiritual crisis. That we are completely disconnected from even our own spirit. And the understanding that the best thing that you can do in this life is to help others. That's the best thing that you can do. There's nothing greater. To sacrifice your time and sacrifice your life in order to ensure that others have a better go of it. And somehow we have convinced ourselves that we shouldn't make things better for the next generation. Somehow we've deceived ourselves into believing that the next generation should not have an easier go of it. It's insane to me. Like even ancient Romans who were crucifying people believed that they should make things better for the next generation. Right? Like we're what are we doing? What are we doing? Yeah, scared to death about food prices like $10 gallon of milk. Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to happen very quickly, right? Like it's going to happen very, very quickly. Especially if they start committing to like mass austerity, especially if they start committing to these sorts of things that don't work, that are a failure. Nothing but love on this chat. Love can conquer anything, even the capitalist evils we're experiencing in our own individual lives. Exactly. Not only do they not need it, they spend it to keep the people impoverished and desperate. Exactly. Exactly, Matthias. Like, they could spend that money helping people, right? But they're completely disinterested in that. Do you have any recipes for that? So, what you call it love? Because I need something on a plate. Yeah, Kevin, I feel you. I feel you on that. 1 second, guys. Sorry, my pug is like losing his little mind. What's that? Go get it. Ugh. These are dark days, man. These are tough times, and we've got to stand with one another in solidarity. Like there's nothing left to do. On the war trail with the wet sweatin'. Hereditary chief seizes equipment, halts pipeline construction before arrest by RCMP. We've been following this story around here. This one might actually be worthwhile. It's fairly long. I don't think I'll read this directly out loud, but this idea that we are invading First Nations land is what we are doing. We're invading First Nations land. And it's unceded land, right? It's not a reserve. This is their land, and we're coming in with machinery and tearing it apart. And so this fellow comes and seizes their equipment, which is illegally destroying. Right? We're dealing with a snake with no head. None of the executives of CGL will come to the table unless we have a few assets. And for this, they've been arrested. He called the charges insulted, pleaded not guilty, was released on conditions. Like, Wet'suwet'en people illegally barred from the territory, right? Like, it's a war. We're launching a war effort against a First Nations tribe who is living on their own land that has always been their land. It has always been their land. And as they are fighting back, we are arresting them on their own land. There is no treaty, no bill of sale or formal agreement between the Wet'suwet'en or Gitxsan people of Canada. The 1997 Supreme Court of Canada decision found that Aboriginal title, a collectively held right to exclusively use and occupy land, has never been extinguished across 58,000 square kilometers. So not only have they never made a treaty with Canada, ever, our own Supreme Court declared that that land is theirs, exclusively theirs. That's our own Supreme Court. And we are sending equipment, we are sending people, we are sending police officers and RCMP officers in order to destroy what is rightfully theirs by our own statements, to destroy their own property, to steal their resources, and harass and arrest their citizens. This is the Trudeau government right here. This is the Trudeau government. Barbaric. It's just more white supremacist nonsense. It's literally like a group of white people saying that we can go in here and destroy this place because we want to. And that's it. Like, that's it. The capitalists could give away surplus and waste, but they destroy it intentionally. Of course, because if they started to give away the 40% of food that we throw away, right? We throw away 40% of our food, right? And if they started to actually give it away, that would lower prices, right? And we're starting to, like, when it comes to our food production, guys, we're starting to enter a period of time where, like, we produce so much food, like, because of our technological advancements, because of who we are as a people, like, because of these endeavors, we literally could subsidize the food markets, right? We could create we could nationalize the food markets, completely subsidize them, and people could just have access to food for free, right? We could do that. It would be easy to do that, right? But we're not doing that, and we're just excluding hundreds of thousands of people from them, and while simultaneously throwing away 40% of our food. It's disgusting. It's disgraceful. I'm not ashamed. I literally just asked Graham Elwood for a $20,000 loan, even though I think I could pay it back in 2 years if we sell the house. I don't know if I understand that statement, dude. They don't seem very supreme if the government can just ignore it. Yeah, exactly. I honestly think that the indigenous people are ready to rise up. They've been doing that all along. It's just not reported, right? Like Idle No More, for example, has been a very powerful movement. The blockades that have been occurring, right? Like when the blockades are reported on in our media, they're always reported on from the reaction, right? They're always it's always some politician reacting to them, usually denouncing them, because the politicians work for the corporate power structure. But it's the indigenous people that have been doing that, and we're not going to these blockades and talking to these people and being like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Right? It takes like things like Breach Media or like World Socialist News or this kind of stuff, like the ones that are on the fringes and off on the side, right? And then guys like me get it on the channel and I try to report on it. Like that's what's happening in the world. And I can't wait. The indigenous people should be given the right to govern themselves. Absolutely. Like, absolutely. No, and that's what the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's all about. It's what it's all about. By this time next year, we expect to lose our home, be starving to death as we see American agricultural products in the form of hay bales going by our house every day. Yeah, man. It's just like... It's unbelievable. They only call it class war when we fight back, right? That if they destroy our homes and they destroy our land and destroy our water and destroy our air and destroy our jobs and destroy our livelihood and throw us out into the street and homelessness, well, that's just the free market. But if we entrench our heels and refuse to allow it to happen, then it's a class war. Oh, man. This is in response to Doug Ford raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Like a little too late if you ask me. New data puts the living wage in Peel region at a $19.8 per hour. Hamilton, $17.2. Guelph, $18.10. Toronto, $22.08. In no Ontario community does $15 an hour provide a living wage. So why is Jerry Diaz applauding Doug Ford's failure to implement a living wage? This has created a lot of interesting statements and moments, right? I'm going to show you two of them, especially as we go into election season.
Announced that in January 2022, Ontario's minimum wage will become $15 an hour. Let me remind this government that one of the first things they did after getting elected was cancel minimum wage increases. Even if the Premier had not touched minimum wage at all, it would have still been higher than $15 an hour. Let me also remind this government that the people of Ontario demanded $15 an hour in 2015, 6 years ago. $15 minimum wage in 2022 still leaves workers behind, especially considering the impact of the pandemic. The cost of living has skyrocketed. Have you been to the grocery store lately? Food prices are up dramatically. Milk up 8%, meats up 15%, eggs, butter up 12%. And don't even get me started on energy prices. Gas is up, hydro is up, everything. Food, housing, insurance prices, everything has gone up dramatically. But wages. Wages have not increased to keep up with these trends. So stop patting yourself for action that is too little too late. You've missed the boat. Quite frankly, I don't even care that very opportunistically this government is doing this 7 months before an election. But I do care is that you do it right, that workers get the wages they deserve, wages that match the times we're living in. Thank you.
So that's a very powerful statement. Frankly, well articulated, well said. Glad to see it's actually happening in the Parliament, right? And then we've got this actually a very lovely exchange between Andrea Horwath, who I hope that this is the Andrea Horwath that actually shows up on the campaign trail. You guys know me. My number one complaint about the NDP is that they refuse to actually show up on the campaign trail. Like, Andrea Horwath looks and sounds like a substitute kindergarten teacher, right? It's my major complaint about her. She doesn't fucking look like a kindergarten teacher here, I'll tell you that. This is the Andrea Horwath I want to see. So here, this is a great exchange between the two of them.
Time for oral questions. I recognize the leader.
And also, as this is going on, really pay attention to how fucking weird this is. That every single time this guy sits and stands up, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people that sit and stand up. Parliament is weird, man. It's a weird place. The parliamentary procedures are like archaic and old and stupid. It's unbelievable.
Majesty's loyal opposition.
Thanks so very much, Speaker. Thanks so very much. Speaker, my first question is for the Premier. Apparently, the Premier has admitted that his low-wage policies don't even fly with him. He admitted he couldn't live on $15 an hour, yet he expects literally hundreds of thousands of Ontario workers to do just that. His low-wage policy took $5,300 out of those very workers' pockets, Speaker, for 3 years. For 3 years, this Premier kept that low-wage policy in place. It was one of his many, many bad ideas, Speaker. So why is he now refusing? Why is he now refusing to put that $5,300 back into the pockets of the people that he took it from?
It's a very serious, like, that's the lady I want to see. I don't want to see like somebody who's like talking down to me or any of this kind of stuff. Like, these are serious times and these are serious issues, and that's a serious lady right there, right? That's the person we should be voting for. Like,
To respond, the Premier.
Thank you for the question through you, Mr. Speaker. During this pandemic, Ontario relied on more than ever our frontline workers. The people that were working in the factories, people working in retail and grocery stores, checking people out. But I'll tell you, Mr. Speaker, they deserve the $15 an hour. And I find it ironic coming from the leader of the NDP. One day, she's okay with the $15, and bingo, the next day, it's $17. People don't know where the leader of the NDP stands. She flip-flops back and forth, not knowing where she stands on any single issue. It's no, 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 no to $15, no to building transit, no to building subways, no to building LTC. It's always no. Vote for the NDP, and there's a party of no. No, 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 no. That's what the NDP are all about.
this is an insane argument that he's making, right? Like, no one has done more cuts to Ontario than Doug Ford's Conservatives. Maybe Mike Harris, right? Maybe Mike Harris. If you go and you look at Doug Ford's cuts in the first year, it's unbelievable what he has cut. It has been amazing. We will not recover in Ontario for 20, maybe 30 years. It will take an enormous amount of work and energy to recover from the disaster that has been Doug Ford. He's been a complete failure, a total fraud. On the climate change file alone, he canceled 750 projects, right? He snubbed the basic income pilot, exactly, right? This 700 items, just like absolutely gone. So I voted for NDP candidate Blake Desjarlais, who is a two-spirit Indigenous person. I made calls for him, drove people to the polls. I really didn't want the Conservatives to win. Blake won. Excellent. Excellent. It's excellent to support people. It's excellent to get behind people, right? And it's nice when they actually win. But the thing to take away from Doug Ford's statement here, right, is he's scared. Look how scared he is, right? Like, all of his statements that he's making here are coming from a place of total desperation. He knows how desperate his situation has become. He understands it because he has abandoned everybody, betrayed everybody, and now he's turning around and trying to pretend like he's a man of the workers. And he's outright admitting, right? Literally, like, he was campaigning, he was saying that these workers are socialists and they just are lazy and need to work harder, get better jobs. And now he's saying of workers, these people are hard workers, they worked through the pandemic and they deserve this and all this kind of stuff. Like, this is how desperate he's become. And as this exchange continues, you're going to see, like, that's the best argument he delivers, right? And it's just going to get more and more, desperate and absurd looking. Especially as Horvath gets more serious.
Supplementary question.
Oh, $15 was so 2016, 2017. It should have come in 2019, and instead this Premier took $1,500.
I'm going to ask you to withdraw.
$5,300 from the pockets of working people. And he's the one that canceled the subway, or rather a LRT in my own riding. So I don't know what he's talking about. But nonetheless, the low-wage policies of this government are absolutely hurting people. Everything is going up, Speaker. The cost of housing is up, the cost of electricity is up, the cost of gas is up, the cost of food is up, the cost of insurance is up, the cost of milk and butter is up, Speaker. The Premier knows his new minimum wage isn't enough for hardworking families to make ends meet. So my question is, will he do the right thing and return that $5,300 that he took out of the pockets of minimum wage workers.
Premier.
Mr. Speaker, there's 760,000 people that are doing cartwheels today. They ended up getting an increase. They ended up getting an increase to $15.
Like, this is how stupid he thinks people are, right? That like, oh, we got that increase that we were going to get under Win in the first place, that he cut in the first place, right? And now he's giving it to us as an act of desperation during an election season. It's very straightforward.
An hour, well deserved. And I know what really ticks off the NDP when we are the party of the frontline workers, our workers. When we stood there with some of the top labor leaders in all of Ontario, they were going crazy, the NDP. Matter of fact, our friend Smokey Thomas from OPSU said we actually have a government that is listening and doing some things for the working people of this province.
And all he's pointing out by quoting this union leader is how corrupted the unions have become, right? That the unions here in Canada are now just an extension of the capitalist death cult. Right? That the capitalist death cult has found a way to connect into the unions and take control of them. Right? Like, and that's all he's highlighting here. That, oh, look what this corrupt union boss said.
And Jerry Diaz from Unifor, one of the largest labor unions in the entire country. This is his quote. But at any time that we can see an increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour, which we know the majority of minimum wage workers in this province are women, it's a day in which we recognize that things are moving in the right direction. Jerry Diaz from Unifor, again,
like, you know, if you're reaching for corrupt union bosses,
people,
right?
You're the
like,
party of no.
Final supplementary.
Speaker, what the Premier needs to acknowledge is he did take that $5,300 out of the pockets of these hardworking workers, and I can tell him hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people are at food banks today. They're not doing cartwheels. They're at food banks because of this Premier's low-wage policies and his bad choices.
And that's straight up true. The food banks of Canada have been bracing. They've been noticing an influx, and they're expecting more. They're expecting much, much more, especially with the removal of the CRB.
Is going up. We all know it, and in fact, the dollar isn't stretching as far as it has in the past because inflation is also eroding it, Speaker. These low-wage policies hurt everybody. It hurts the workers, and it hurts the economy. It hurts the entire province, Speaker. Will the Premier do the right thing, put that $5,300 back in people's pockets and give all the money back that folks deserve and actually help Ontarians to build a decent life in this province?
Premier.
Mr. Speaker, one of the major reasons the prices are going up is because something called the carbon tax at the
This is unbelievable what Doug Ford does here, guys. Like if you're falling for this, if you take this seriously as a talking point, your brain is rotten. There's like a black, like go see a doctor. There's a black mark across your brain that you need to go get dealt with, right? Listen to this outrageous
Mr. Speaker,
statement.
one of the major reasons the prices are going up is because something called the carbon tax that the NDP voted for. I call it the big green scam instead of the big green deal. They love going after the little guy and gal. They love putting pressure on people that have to drive from point A to point B to drop their kids off to go to work. They want to increase taxes. They voted no to lowering taxes. They voted yes to the carbon tax, 10 cents a litre. So every time you pump that gas in your car, just take a look at the leader of the NDP and know it's 10 cents more. And it's going to continue going up. That is the cost when the NDP vote no to absolutely everything that you have. Is there one thing that you stand for? They'll stand for one thing one day, the next day.
To a flip-flopping, all this kind of dumb bullshit. Prices are going up. Housing is going up. The cost of food is going up. Everything's going up while inflation is outrageous because of the carbon tax. What can be even said about this level of stupidity? What can be even said on this level of absurd stupidity? That he is saying that out loud, that the reason why prices are going through the roof is because of a 10-cent carbon tax. This is a level of stupidity that you can only get away with if you don't have a credible analysis of the structure of your society. If you have no structural analysis in your society, fraudulent, absurdist, moronic statements like this fly, right? Just goes to show what Ford thinks of Ontarians. Well, I mean, for God's sakes, we keep voting for him. 30% of us still support him, right? Like, we are essentially Bob and Doug McKenzie, right? We are essentially Bob and Doug McKenzie. Like, we're not a very intelligent people, straight up. Like, oh, did you hear? Did you hear that Dougie, he said that the reason prices are going up is because of that carbon tax, eh? Yeah, carbon tax making everything bad, eh? Oh, yeah, carbon tax for sure. I see it at the gas pump for sure. Gas prices are going through the roof. It's got to be that carbon tax that Doug is talking about, right? Right? The buck of beer simps vote him back in. Absolutely, buck of beer. Yeah. Literally his only campaign promise that he barely delivered on. Yeah, I know. Look at the people behind Ford nodding like Ford is making good points. Yeah, it's like they're either completely cynical sociopaths or they're so stupid and detached that they actually think that's true. Right? Like, yikes. big yikes. All right, guys, I'm going to let this wrap up. I'm just going to go use the bathroom, and then I'm going to play some songs for Corinne. Yeah, let's play some songs.
It changes. On their website, it was $15 2 days ago. Now, all of a sudden, it's $17. They got to make up their mind.
And I'll remind members to make their comments through the chair. The next question, the Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, my next question is also for the Premier. Maybe he will take this one seriously. Yesterday, the member for St. Catharines asked a straightforward question, a very straightforward question to get justice for veterans with disabilities, but the Premier Ford had no answers for her. The Canadian Legion has asked the government to solve an unfair policy that literally results in injured veterans becoming homeless because the Premier is clawing back money from their pockets. Veterans have served this country with valor and with honour. If they receive a disability award from Veterans Affairs Canada, Premier Ford claws it back, and he shouldn't be doing that. So my question is, will he immediately end this unfair clawback of benefits that our veterans with disabilities rightfully should be getting?
Doug Ford doesn't give a shit about people with disabilities, veterans or otherwise. You should listen to the crazy shit that this guy says about people with disabilities. His entire strategy, his entire platform at this stage in the game, his entire platform is put disabled people to work. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to put disabled people to work, right? Like, if you have a disability, like, the definition of a disability is that you can't work. And Doug Ford's trying to put you back to work. What do I want to open with here? You know what? I'm gonna open with this one. Corinne, you're still around, I hope. You're out in Alberta, so I'm gonna open up with one of my classic country tunes. I really think that Willie Nelson should sing this one. I think if Willie Nelson sung this one at the Grand Ole Opry, it could heal America. I genuinely believe that. So, I was just a little boy when my mom and dad divorced. I threw my tantrums, cried my tears, I'd keep their vows by force. Now that I'm an older man, I see it had to be this way. My parents' love for me still grows each and every day, and time passed me by so swiftly, I could have been a better man. And every day I'm trying to do the best things that I can. And though they're not the people I expected they would be, I love them all the same. I just want them to be free. 10 years, me and my wife, we traveled round the globe, binding vows and shared mistakes, they filled our hearts with hope. Then one day she tells me a man is not for her. Those 10 years are a memory now, but my love for her still stirs. And time passed me by so swiftly, I could have been a better man. And every day I'm trying to do the best things that I can. And though she's not the person I expected she would be, I love her all the same. I just want her to be free. Well, my love had a little girl, a scrappy tomboy type. She blossomed, I watched her blossom like a flower, but she felt not quite right. Then one day she tells me she's a young man, not a girl. I picked her up and held her close, then sent my son into the world. And time passed me by so swiftly, I could have been a better man. And every day I'm trying to do the best things that I can. And though he's not the person I expected he would be, I love him all the same. I just want him to be free. And though they're not the people I expected they would be, I love them all the same. I just want them to be free. Man, I hope it happens. I hope Mr. Nelson sings that song. I hope Mr. Nelson sings that song. Let's pick it up a little bit. Let's pick it up. Any requests out there? Any requests? Anybody want to hear anything? I know a lot of you guys have heard these songs a couple of times now. I'm gonna do Psychopath Nation. Let's pick up the tempo a bit, shall we? Burn yourself out for dollar bills, kill your children for a few cheap thrills. You got a problem, well that's too bad. You're too tired to see you've been had. Work or starve while we drop bombs. No such thing as right or wrong. We'll call you lazy while you work to death. You gotta earn a moment of rest. And I won't work for a psychopath nation. No, I won't work for a psychopath nation. Burn those corpses so you can speed. Buy that garbage you don't need. Play the victim while you lose your grip. Why won't they work in the apocalypse and retreat into your stupid lies? Act confused while your children cry. Promise change but act the same. Gaslight, deflect, and take no blame. And I won't work for a psychopath nation. No, I won't work for a psychopath nation. And as we collapse in the devil's lap, as we watch the world burn to ash, you'll whine like bitches on your way to the grave. Why won't those serfs just behave? You fucking vampires, demons, and ghouls. We're done with being treated like fools. The curse is lifted, we're free from your spell. Keep on crying while you burn in hell. And we won't work for a psychopath Psychopath Nation, man. I love that. Listening while I cook. You sound great. Thanks, Corrine. Thanks so much. That's so lovely of you to say. So lovely of you to say. Oh, let's see. Let's do this one for you. Just keep singing, John. We're always listening. Thumbs up, bread emoji, Christmas tree. Treble clef, music note. Yeah, all right. I'll do this one and then I'll do 2020. You guys know this tune. This one is called I Wish My Ma Was Here. These times they are uncertain, of that there is no doubt, and nobody can tell me quite what it's all about. The heartbreak and the loneliness, the chaos and the fear will make even the strongest cry, I wish my mom was here. A young man on a battlefield fights for a rich man's gold. The bullet cracks into his spine, he knows he won't grow old. And as the tears come streaming down, and once his mind goes clear, the war was fought for nothing, he cries, I wish my mom was here. A lively story well in hand, a joke to soothe your soul. And when it came to arguing, she'd forgive and let it go. And when I cry, she held me, tells me it's okay, my dear. And as we face these darkened days, I wish my mom was here. And as we march into the streets, as all the righteous do, we'll raise our voices to the sky, they cannot stop the truth. And as we tear their structures down, with victory we'll cheer. We made the world a better place, and I wish my mom was here. Yeah, we made the world a better place, and I wish my mom was here. Oh, that one got me that time. Sometimes they get me. Sometimes they get me. Sometimes they get me. Yeah, I wish more political channels had music breaks. Well, I mean, I think about that from time to time, like how odd it is, honestly. But you know what? Like, the musical tradition... You know what? I'm going to play this new one. I wrote one yesterday because right at the beginning of yesterday's stream, I was fiddling around with a chord progression, and I actually quite liked it, and then I forgot about it, as one does. And then it was actually Corrine talking to me about my channel and all this, and I sent her a link, and as I sent her the link to my newest video, I got into playing this this tune, this chord progression, and then it reminded me about it, and so then I was just like, oh man, so I sat with it with a little bit, and I wrote this song. So this one, actually, Corrine, you actually had a hand in helping me write. This one is a bit more on the bluesy sides of things. I've been writing a lot of the kind of bluesy tunes recently. Hopefully I'll get another I don't know, upbeat song come. But, they come as they come. Yeah. Oh, it's important. Joe Hill was a musician who was playing during the union protests and during the union struggle for the IWW. And the capitalists arrested Joe Hill on trumped up charges. And through their court system, their corrupt judges and lawyers, they had him, they convicted him and had him shot. All legal. And Corinne, it was a very spiritual sort of connection, a very existential kind of connection. You just reminded me about this lick that I had been playing through our communication. So here's The Cross Good Men Bear. He was a man who'd done nothing wrong except fight for his people by upholding their laws. The men with the money wanted to be free, so they nailed Jesus up onto a tree. No, it's not right. No, it's not fair. Never forget the cross good men bear. He was a man who'd done nothing wrong except teaching his people they could be strong. The men with the money, they wanted their slaves, so they showed Martin to an early grave. No, it's not right. No, it's not fair. Never forget the cross good men bear. He was a man who'd done nothing wrong except fight for his people by singing man with the money had bought the whole town with judges and lawyers. They shot Joe Hill down. No, it's not right. No, it's not fair. And never forgets the cross good men bear. Never forget the cross good men bear. I don't know about that one, honestly. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one. It's not gonna be like a big hit. It's not gonna be like a. Oh well. I'm glad that I shared it with you guys. I'm glad that you were the first people to hear it. I don't know though. I'm like only 60% on that song. Of all the slower ones I've played, that one, like, it's not as good as I'm Sad, and I don't think it's as good as the last one I did either. I like the message though. I just think it's too slow. I don't know though. You guys would know better than I would. Let's see. What do I got? Let's play this one for fun. I'm gonna play this one for fun. Even I have some fun tunes. All right. Been a while since I played this one, actually. There it is. Oh, disaster. Yeah. Oh man, I haven't played this one in too long. Sorry guys, fucking it all up. I got a secret to tell to you. Nobody knows, I don't know what to do. I got a feeling deep down in my soul. Don't tell anyone, nobody should know. But I wanna be super slutty. I wanna be super slutty. Stand up straight with those shoulders back. Heart in that heart, get ready for an attack. Softness is for pussies, empathy's a crime. Keep chasing the money, give God none of your time. But I wanna be super slutty. And I wanna be super slutty. Keep us tired, wear out our bones. Plunge the needle deep, don't leave us alone. Kings give up empires for one night of bliss. Why on God's green earth do we put up with this? And I wanna be super slutty. Why can't I be? Why won't you let me be? I wanna be super slutty. I just like playing that song. I have no idea if it's good or not, but I love that song. I gotta play that one more often. It's kind of embarrassing, is why. It's kind of embarrassing. That's why, you know? It's like, oh well. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Okay. I think I'm gonna just play two more. I'm gonna play. Bring on, light up this apocalypse, and then wouldn't that be nice to close out? Because I like "Wouldn't That Be Nice" as a nice closer, because it's got a really, really good message. Okay. Get ahead of the human race, and we're the lazy ones working at the end of your nukes and your guns, and we don't even care. Bring on the doom, light up this apocalypse, we'll be going soon. God let his chosen ones wander forever in the burning sun, and 10 times worse the fate for us. Forget him, worship the dust, and we don't even care. Bring on the doom, light up this apocalypse, we'll be going soon. Baptize us with rising tides, never let us see what hides inside, and cover our sins with dollar signs. The fire will burn away our pride, and we don't even care. Bring on the doom, line up this apocalypse, we'll be going soon. You could have done anything at all. You could have done anything at all. You could have done anything at all, and you chose this. We don't even care. Bring on the doom, light up this apocalypse, we'll be going soon. We don't even care. Bring on the doom, light up this apocalypse, we'll be going soon. Yeah. Oh, we don't even care. Bring on the doom, light up this apocalypse, we'll be going soon. Yeah, I love that tune, dude. I love that tune. That's a great one. Okay. And now to close out this musical component, this musical part of the song. Man, it's so nice to sing. It's so nice to play. I'm so looking forward to getting into, like, the live shows, man. I've got so many fucking kick-ass tunes. Like, so many of these songs are super kick-ass. Are you kidding me? That last song was super kick-ass. Anybody who tells me that song's not fucking kick-ass, they can get fucked. Anyway, this is I titled this one Antarctica. I really love this tune. It's another kind of country classic, but I love the message of it. So, here's Antarctica is Covered in Ice. Got asked a question by my niece who's 5 years old. What's the world gonna be like when I'm grown? I looked up at the crimson smoke-filled sky. I thought, what's the harm in telling one more lie? I said, everybody's safe, no one's living in the streets. You never need to worry if you're gonna get to eat. And Antarctica is covered in ice, and everybody's happy, and wouldn't that be nice? The burning sun won't leave a paper trail. Why work so hard if it's too big to fail? And what's the point of feeding this machine if it won't make the world in our dreams where everybody's safe, no one's living in the streets? You never need to worry if you're gonna get to eat. And Antarctica is covered in ice, and everybody's happy, and wouldn't that be nice? And I know one day my maker I will meet, when death's sweet kiss comes and sweeps me off my feet. I hope by then we've learned a little more. I'd like this place to be better than before, so everybody's safe, no one's sleeping in the streets. You never need to worry if you're gonna get to eat. And Antarctica is covered in ice, and everybody's happy, and wouldn't that be nice? When everybody's safe, no one's living in the streets. You never need to worry if you're gonna get to eat. And Antarctica is covered in ice, and everybody's happy, and wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? Antarctica is covered in ice, and everybody's happy, and wouldn't that be nice? And I believe that we can do it. I believe that we can do it. Because the solution is so obvious. It's so simple. It's so easy and childish that when we actually accomplish it, we'll look at those who are fighting against us as if they were insane, because they are. We don't need to invent something. We don't need to create something. We don't need to work hard. In fact, it's exactly the opposite. The earth was a garden before we got here. It wants to be a garden. It created a garden for us, and we are doing everything we can to destroy it. And if we would like to stay around and witness the earth miraculously healing itself, then all we have to do is stop. During the pandemic, we reduced emissions by 7%, the largest reduction in emissions that we have ever accomplished. What is killing us is our activity, our crazed desire to pursue money. that we invented and doesn't even exist. In theological terms, it is a false god that we are worshiping. We have picked a fight with a force that created us. And if we would like to survive its wrath or avoid it entirely, all we have to do is stop. Thus ends the musical interlude. I hope you enjoyed that, Karine. That's not my whole anthology. I've got several other songs. Seems like a perfect opportunity, because the people who are still here, who haven't left by now, you're the true believers. Please think about donating to my Patreon. Please think about buying my music if you like it. It's at 5 songs are at Bandcamp. If you become a $5 subscriber to my Patreon, I'll just send you the music. Or feel free to buy it at Bandcamp. It's all in the description below. Thanks so much for your support, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. That's the most important part, I gotta tell you. I said it earlier, I'll say it again. You guys being here matters more to me than anything. And I really mean that. You guys being here and experiencing this absurdity with me, experiencing the grief of what it is to live in a society that is abandoning itself, that is abandoning all reason. The fact that we are all coming together to grieve the passage of capitalism means more to me than anything else. So thank you for being here. All right. Now that we've exited the musical interlude phase, let's move on to the news again. Something a bit more interactive. What do we think? And usually around 8 o'clock, I get a new influx of people. We'll see. So this is kind of a light story, but NDP says it's time for House of Commons to scrap gender-based dress code. Now, there's something about this that's really upsetting, right? Like, people are being thrown out of their houses because of the loss of the CRB, right? The NDP has voted to prop up the Liberals, right, along with the Bloc and the Greens, while the Liberals are actively abandoning hundreds of thousands of people across the country. And amidst this, there's two narratives here. Amidst this, the NDP are standing up and saying, hey, let's scrap gender-based code. I can't think of a more meaningless thing to be focusing on at this time. Now, I actually think it's far more likely that this is the CBC reporting this, because this is probably some like one-pager like off in the corner somewhere, all that kind of stuff. It's probably much more likely that the CBC is using exactly what I've talked about, that in the middle of this crisis, this is what we're talking about, in order to besmirch the NDP. I mean, the Liberals have control of the CBC, so they're using it as a political tool against their enemies. But no matter how you slice it, whether it's the NDP standing up and making hay about this issue amidst a complete crisis, or whether it's the CBC attempting to besmirch them in the midst of this crisis, it's disgraceful no matter how you cut it, and really shows you the cynicism that exists at the heart of our political structure. That they are desperate to talk about anything other than their abandonment of the populace, which is what is happening. The only difference as compared with the old outspoken slavery is this, that the worker of today seems to be free because he is not sold once for all, but piecemeal, by the day, the week the year, and because no one owner sells him to another, but he is forced to sell himself in this way instead, being the slave of no particular person, but of the whole property-holding class. That's Frederick Engels, Condition of the Working Class in England, 1845. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. The wage slave system is burgeoning and is as strong as it can be. And these temporary assaults against it, the capitalist class, like we've seen this over and over again. The capitalist class will absolutely use coercion, force, threat of homelessness and starvation in order to force people into jobs that they hate. We've seen it under Margaret Thatcher. We've seen it over and over again. I don't see why we should expect a different result from the structure. Here is a picture that I have to show you guys this. It just struck me. Like, this really, really struck me. Like, this is a traffic jam on the I-405 through Los Angeles. And it struck me as I was looking at this that this is a scar across the planet. That we have etched a scar across the face of the planet. That we are filling with infernal machines that we fuel with the bones of our ancestors. What does that make us, do you think? What does that make us? And the person who posted this had the audacity to say that it was a beautiful view. I see a sign of the apocalypse, that this might as well be an ancient ruin etched into the surface of the planet, so that we can pointlessly mill about, doing jobs that no one needs to do, for people they'll never meet, to accomplish nothing of importance whatsoever. That it's the traveling that the capitalists want. Because then they can sell you a car, and they can sell you fuel, and they can sell you all of the things that go along with being stuck in traffic. They don't care that at the end you do a job that's pointless. They care that they sell you things. Away in space, as light takes time to travel, you can see the scars in live action. Exactly, Mocked. Good to see you, bud. Good to see you. Man, I'm feeling like a real chill night, eh? I think this last hour is going to be real chill. Going to be real chill. Not interested in a career, just looking for the least annoying way to afford food and shelter. Good old internet hippo, laying it out for us. Yeah, a tank-sized SUV. Exactly, Major. Exactly. A tank-sized SUV. Just sitting on the freeway, idling away, spewing carbon into the atmosphere. Just completely pointless. Oh, this is something actually that I want to do a deep dive with you guys, because this, in my view, is actually extremely concerning to me. So this is a participatory moment, okay? So if you're in the chat and you've just been lurking, right? Think about participating, because you're going to learn something really, really interesting here, okay? What color is this Coke can? Everybody. And if you're already in on the game, don't ruin it for anybody, okay? But what color do you see? Answer honestly. Be as honest as you can. Right? I see red, so I'll be explicit. I see red. Everybody else seeing red? Is that right? And anybody want to go against that? We're all seeing a red Coke can, yeah? Yeah, thanks, Karine. Red? Anybody see any other color other than red? The reason why I'm really lengthening this out is giving you a chance to catch up. Yeah, the green screen. Yeah, red or green. Yeah, the green screen is there for a reason, right? But you're seeing that it's a red Coke can, right? I see red, green, and blue. Oh, TRX is in the chat. So, interesting that you would say blue. So, going to hit play here, and it's going to zoom in. Here's the zoom in. Color inversion. You're onto it, TRX. You know the trick. You know the trick, right? It's not so much inversion. No, messed that up. All right. Here, he's going to zoom in again, and I'm going to actually pause it. So they zoom in. There is, in fact, no color. The bars are white and black when you zoom in on them. The bars are white and black. And when you zoom out, you see red again. Zooms back in, black and white. Zoom out, it's red again. You know now that we've gone through it, this can is black. Look at it as hard as you can. We're going to go through it one more time. You know that this is black. Right? How do we know? Because we can zoom in on it and it's black. We zoom out. It's red. Back to black. Zoom out. It's red. It's not that we've been conditioned. It's actually much more concerning than that, Major. Because if it's a conditioning thing, that means that you can somewhat overcome it. You're looking at the can now. I see red. I know it's black. I know for a fact that it's black. And the more I say it out loud and the more I focus on it, the more I can somewhat move it towards the black. And TRX is nailing it exactly. Your brain makes up things that it expects to see. That it expects or that it desires to see. That's what's actually happening. That if you expect or desire or want to see that that can is red, then you will. Like when you pass by a stop sign completely covered in red, your brain will fill in the blanks. You will see a stop because something sensory overload. Yeah, that's exactly right, dude. You nailed it. Something sensory overload. And this is concerning to me from a political or relational standpoint. That people, like you think about the MAGA cult, right? Or the blue MAGA cult, right? I had someone coming in here yesterday trying to convince me that Biden is actually a really great president and all of this, which is a joke. No, is it a bad sign I can't see the black even after I know? I mean, that's what's interesting. Is that you know what the truth is, and yet you can't make your brain actually see the truth. Right? Even after you know what the truth actually is. You've been provided hard evidence. And imagine expanding this into the political sphere. People look at a figure like Donald Trump and they see what they want to see, regardless of evidence, regardless of facts. Yeah, when you see someone wearing a red hat, you automatically think it's a MAGA hat. Yeah, and it doesn't matter if it isn't, right? And then suddenly you'll start to have negative feelings towards the person who's wearing the red hat, even if it's just a red hat. Oh yeah, it's very freaky. It's very freaky, right? And it's a freaky thing to admit about the human consciousness and the human experience, that we see what we expect or want to see. And I think that this is why the conversation surrounding climate change and surrounding our politicians and surrounding the Liberal Party and surrounding all of this has gotten so difficult. Because there is people who are seeing what they want to see. And they don't, and they're unwilling to alter their decision making outside of any of this. Come on. TRX bud, is this you, man? Like, I know, I'm trying to let you in, man. I'm trying to let you in. Is this you? Come on, dude. Like, we don't need to go down this route. It just seems every single time you're around, bud. It's always you. And so what can be done about this, right? What can be done? Oh yeah, Karine, like the trolls come in, right? And it's especially bad because I'm a communist, right? So I get all types. I get all types. This is why I use source documentation. This is why I use source documentation. That I base my decision making off of source documents exclusively. I don't listen to what the media says. I don't listen to any of that kind of stuff. I listen to source documentation. That's what I care about. And I think that that's all we can do, right? And when you go and you talk to someone, and they tell you about their lived experience, the best thing that you can do is believe them. When they talk about their lived experience, the best thing that you can do is believe them. Okay. Just looking for that buzz, man. It seems to happen about 8 o'clock. Right about 8 o'clock. I seem to get the trolls. And I have an experience with TRX before. I was sort of hoping that he was gonna be nicer, but it's nice to believe that a person can kind of turn the corner, but no more. Like, no more. Just so it's such a shame, man. Like, I mean, and it's so silly because it actually helps me. Like, that's the funny thing about these spammers, that it actually helps me. Like, the algorithm actually likes it. So, we're all familiar with the Virginia election. The Republican who just won in Virginia was an executive at the Carlyle Group, a private equity firm that has laid off thousands of unionized workers at the firms it acquires. But the Democrats couldn't attack him on it because the Democratic nominee was a Carlyle investor. You're seeing how it's just a vanity project. It's just a vanity project for these people, right? Like, they don't actually care on a social level, right? That it was the Democratic nominee was a Carlyle investor, while they were running against the executive of the Carlyle Group. It's just a game to these people. You understand? Like, it's just a game, that it's just a vanity project, that they would like to be the governor, right? That's it. That they want to be the one who is the governor. They are not interested. Yeah, I'm just going to quickly, I just don't want to see this trash. There. I just don't want to see that trash. It's what I've been saying about American politics for a long time now. That it's not any different than WWE wrestling, right? It's no different than WWE wrestling. That Andre the Giant and the Hulk Hogan go out and they talk shit to one another and they body slam each other, they throw each other against the ropes, they do all kinds of stuff. While the media, who is the color commentators, right? Jerry the King Lawler and Ross, whatever his name is, right? And they're losing their mind about what they're seeing, and they're, oh, he's got the chair, and oh, from the top rope, and all this kind of stuff, right? And at the end of the day, though, they both go behind the curtain. They both receive and they both get paid by Vince McMahon, right? Like, that's what American politics is. I wish that I could do a mass removal. That would be nice. Ontario's for-profit long-term care homes charged extra for private rooms during deadly pandemic. The government has known for a very, very, very long time that 4 people in a room is a problem. Through Ontario's ongoing COVID-19 crisis, experts say the province's long-term care homes have been free to charge residents premium rates for private rooms. Ontario's April 2021 Auditor General's report found 35,980 beds in Ontario's long-term care home. Ontario's long-term care system are ward-style rooms with 3 or 4 beds per room. That's 46% of all beds. Another 17.5% are semi-private with 2 beds per room. A spokesperson for Ontario's Ministry of Long-Term Care said older long-term care facilities, many of which are badly in need of repairs, are filled with multi-person ward-style rooms, reducing the possibility of social distancing. And hey Vince, how you doing, bud? Oh yeah, it's been a lively one. It's been a lively one. Just as we got a spammer back in. He's got nothing better to do with his time. We know that the long-term care homes here in Ontario, that the privately owned long-term care homes, are a complete disaster. Honestly, I think it's just one dude. I just think it's one guy. Just some guy who's got nothing better to do, Vince. The long-term care homes that exist here in Ontario, the privately owned ones, we sent the military into them. The military went into the long-term care homes, and what they discovered is that the private long-term care homes were bug-infested, riddled with mold. There weren't enough workers. There weren't enough people actually staffed, that the people who were staffed were underpaid wage earners. some of whom were actually living in shelters, for God's sakes, right? So during a pandemic, they would go and sleep in the shelter system and then go to work in the long-term care homes. How do you think COVID's spreading around, right? How do you think? And so the military aspect of all of this is they go in infrared. Well, just so you know, infrared, I'm having an influx of spammers at the moment, so I'm a bit skeptical of your existence, honestly. But good to see you. Hope you're here to positively contribute. And that all starts to happen under Mike Harris, right? Yeah, you mean the ones that we pay to kill our loved ones. Exactly, Ruth. Seems pretty clear the capitalists are just distracting people, running out the clock till robot soldiers and police are practical enough to mass produce. Workers are obsolete to be terminated. Yeah, Gunk, there's something to that. Yeah, and I mean, like, the idea that they're not going to attempt, at the very least, attempt to automate and militarize the police robotically. I mean, of course they are. Oh, is it? Okay. Well, good to see you, bud. What party was Mike Harris with? The Conservatives, of course. The Conservatives. It's, it is like, the Conservatives are a disaster, and they've always been a disaster. I just find it kind of odd. Yeah, regressive conservative, exactly. Yeah, living in Alberta under the UCP and Jason Kenney, someone help us. Well, it looks like he's going to lose the next election, right? Like he's been a disaster for Alberta, like a total disaster. They're just not interested in governing, right? And even worse than this, so the privatized long-term care system, which has been a disaster for the system, is absolutely... Mike Harris sits on the board of directors for these long-term care homes. So he privatized the system and then turned around and sat on the board of directors. Like, what more do you need? Like, what more do you need to realize that these guys are fucking psychopaths? Hey, YouTube should have a feature to block IPSs. Honestly, like, I don't, like, how hard is it to figure out, like, oh, a guy is posting the same, like, a new person comes in, immediately starts spamming. Like, how difficult it is to put a setting to just be like, don't do that. Like, don't spam. Like, that's not difficult at all. I find it kind of weird that YouTube doesn't already have that in place. There's all kinds of things, though, that I think YouTube does that's very weird. Like, I should be able to show whatever YouTube video I want on my stream, and then they should get credit for it. Like, the algorithm can literally shut my stream down if it's showing something that's outside the Creative Commons or whatever. And I'm just like, well, why don't you just give them credit? Like, you know how many viewers I have at any one time, right? Like, you know who's seeing it, you know all that kind of stuff. Yeah, YouTube probably does make money off of it. Although YouTube has always argued for people to do the opposite. Always. It's always said, like, no, you should make your stuff open and available for people to spread around. It'll help you. I think the reason people don't do it is because of an old way of thinking about things, right? That they just, like... There's slow mode? Is there? See, I'm still figuring things out. I still don't know how to do much of anything. Oh, wow. Infrared is actually live in Twitch watching you right now? Oh, well, Vince says so. Then I trust it. Well, hi, bud. How you doing? I see you around all the time. Can you unban me on International Left? International Left banned me. And a lot of your stuff gets spread around on International Left. And I got banned there. And I don't know why. I asked, no explanation whatsoever. I just got banned. And it seems incoherent to me. Like, lots of incoherence coming out of there. But I'm glad to see you then, bud, and I'm glad that you're looking at me. Yeah. Any questions, comments, concerns, queries? Anything you want me to talk about? Ah, well. I don't know. I don't know what I think about that guy, honestly. He's got his perspective. Sorry, guys. You know what, man? I'm off my game all of a sudden. I'm off my game. Do you ever have guests on your live? Yeah, I do. I try, like every so often. It's tough. It's tough to organize it. Transylvania is hungry. Oh man, Greater Hungary. Hope you're here. Hope you're here to contribute, bud. Maybe a song is in order. Any requests, Lonnie? Anything you want to hear? You know what it is? It's that like when these spammers come in, like this, it's just stupid, and it seems completely unnecessary, right? Like you're honestly telling me that YouTube can't do anything about this? Like it's just so stupid. And it just feels like really, really stupid. Any requests? I just played about half hour of music at about 7. But if Lonnie's asking for it, and I think Vince, you're interested. Yeah, a little music. Infrared made a good video about Stalin. Oh yeah, Stalin's an interesting figure to me. I kind of look at him as like a Robin Hood type figure. He's very controversial figure, of course, certainly. And I know people who are like Trotskyites, and they Corrine is asking for hallelujah. Absolutely, Corrine. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a nice song. That's a nice song. That's a nice calm sort of thing. So guys, if spam comes up, I'm not gonna stop it when while I'm playing. Okay. This one goes to you, Corrine. Well, I heard there was a secret chord that David played, and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? Goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, and the major lift. Baffled king composing hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Your faith was strong, you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof. The beauty in the moonlight overthrew ya. She tied you to her kitchen chair. She broke your throne and cut your hair, and from her lips she drew a hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Now your faith was strong, you needed proof. You saw her bathe up. Sorry. Now you say I took the name in vain, and I don't even know the name. And if I did, well really, what's it to ya? There's a blaze of light in every word. It doesn't matter which you heard, the holy or the broken. Hallelujah. 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 I tried my best, it wasn't enough. I couldn't feel, so I tried to touch. I told the truth, I didn't come to fool ya. And even though it all went wrong, I'll stand before the Lord of Song with nothing on my tongue but hallelujah. 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 I found out that Leonard Cohen was dead the night that Trump was elected President of the United States, and it broke my fucking heart. What kind of world are we living in now? Yeah, no kidding, eh? I don't know Bird on a Wire offhand. I have play after they stole his money and he had to get back into touring. Yeah, I know. What a heartbreaking story, eh? Like, that they just, like, ran this total scam on Leonard Cohen and he went back into touring, like, in his old age, no less. Like, come on, man. Like, give the guy a break. Give the guy a break. Oh, yeah. You know what it is about all these spammers and everything, like, that kind of hurts my heart a little bit, is I'm trying so hard to create, like, a safe space here. Like, a space where people can come in and grieve and we can spend time together and talk about the truth and talk about our experiences and find consensus and solidarity with one another. And, like, it just gets cluttered up with bullshit. You know? It just kind of feels like how life is right now. It's just kind of, everything's cluttered up with bullshit. And we're not figuring out how to get to the core of our existence and the core of our lived life and the core of our stuff. We're all just dealing with this nonsense. Like, we're all just dealing with this sort of dumb bullshit, you know? Well, is this the actual Hakeem? We had the actual infrared in not that long ago. He just popped in. The actual Hakeem. Well, bless my soul and bless my heart. Am I getting noticed by the higher-ups? Am I getting noticed by the big heavy hitters? Is that what's happening to me all of a sudden? Love your work, buddy. I do. You're putting together some stuff. You're so good, bud, that you make me kind of embarrassed to do what I do sometimes. Anything you want to talk about, bud? Comments, concerns, queries? Or are you just here to say hello and give me a poke? I think that's exactly right, Nova Scotia. I think that's exactly right. And that's what I keep saying, right? That, like, the channel is getting into, like, a different stratosphere, right? It's going, like, I picture it as if it's like we're just at the bottom where things are nice and calm, and steadily as the channel starts to poke up, well, there's a current here, right? And we're going to poke up into the current, and we're just catching a lot of scum, is what's happening. And also, we're getting some big fish Some big fish in the chat. That's what a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. Seems like the big guys are coming in right as like you're missing my songs. You're missing my music. Oh well. Protesters leave behind wooden gallows, noose at Grand Prairie MLA's home. Now, I would like to be extremely clear because I don't want this channel to be banned. I do not espouse violence. I think that we can do what we do through peaceful protest. But this is a sign of things to come, right? Protesters leave behind wooden gallows, noose at Grand Prairie MLA's home. Things are starting to pick up. Things are starting to pick up. Yeah, and that's just it too, Vince. Like, they could be fake accounts. Like, it's I don't know. Like, why? I don't get that. That's the thing that's the most confusing. Like, there's so much better things they could be doing. Like, yikes. You know? Like, yikes. That this is what you're choosing to spend your time doing? It's just sort of direct proof that there is like psychopaths in the discourse. Right? Like, you could do literally anything else. Like, literally anything else. Well, and then on top of that, like on top of all of that, it's completely counterintuitive. Hey, thanks, man. Don't feel embarrassed or shadowed by me. Keep doing what you're doing. You're building up a movement, and the capitalists want you to feel small and alone, so you give up. Thanks, Akeem. Don't give in to them. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, that's a blessing. That's a true blessing today. What a blessing. Oh, bless you. Isn't that funny, man? Isn't that funny? I think that's exactly what I needed to hear today, man. Thank you for coming in, bud. Thank you for coming in. And keep doing your work, bud. Keep doing your work. Hey, maybe I can get you on the stream one day. We can have a chat, or I can come on your thing and we can have a chat. I don't know. I'm just fucking around. I'm so looking forward to when the music scene starts to open back up, man. I'm so looking forward to it. Because, like, there's work to be done. There's real work to be done on the streets. And you know, Hakeem, if you're still in the chat, if you're still listening, my encouragement to you, because you do excellent work, the change that needs to happen in this country will happen in the streets. You have thousands of subscribers. And I want to encourage you, from one comrade to another, to try to get more people in the streets. Because that's where the change is going to really happen. It's not going to happen through petitions. It's not going to happen through electoralism. It's going to happen in the streets. And someone with your following and your reach could be very influential in this regard. And so that's what I've always wanted to try to communicate to someone like yourself. And I hope you'll take that seriously, because that's what I'm trying to do. Speaking of that very thing, November 7th, 2 p.m., 6 Tettenhall Road, we're going to Doug Ford's house. If you can make it, please come. I know you guys are all over the place. Oh, I know, Mr. Man. I know, Mr. Poops. My little pug down here. It's like, oh, I can't. Where's my peanut butter? Where's my peanut butter? My peanut butter. Peanut butter's right over here, buddy. Peanut butter's right over here. Here you go, buddy. You little whiny guy. You little whiny guy. I know. What's life without peanut butter, right? Well, I don't know. The significant changes that happened throughout the United States happened because of peaceful protest. That the Revolutionary War that happened in China, I think, was a necessity of the times that they were in. that they were in an imperialistic war already. China was already in several wars. And so banding together in a militia makes a lot of sense. We here in North America have the opportunity. We have the opportunity to surround the halls of power and demand the transfer of power peacefully, as we have done in the past. Now, there is precedent for such a thing. And that's what I fight for. And men like you and men like me, we're going to be deplatformed and we're going to be banned for saying stuff like that. That's how they're going to get us. That's how they're going to get us. And so we always have to move forward. Always. Never ending and forever, no matter what they do to us. We've got to move forward in peace. Because they don't know how to fight us that way. They don't know what to do. Man, I'm feeling very emotional all of a sudden, you know? I'm feeling very emotional all of a sudden. Holy cow. What a night. What a night. I hope you guys are doing wonderfully out there. I hope you're having a good time. I hope you're experiencing all the beauty and all the wonder of the world. Honestly. Like, I hope that you're able to lay out in a field somewhere and look up at the stars and see the beauty that the world has to offer us. Because the world is a beautiful place, that we are being trained to despise it. No, I got rid of it. And like, here's Ben Norton. The censorship on social media is so out of control. Twitter just suspended the account of a public university in Nicaragua. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter also purged hundreds of pro-Sandinista media outlets days before Nicaragua's election. We are going to march towards a new McCarthyism. We're not at its height yet. But it's very easy to perceive that the election of Donald Trump for his second term is going to have that effect. That there is going to be a chilling effect that is going to go throughout leftists. And that the power structures, because the power structures are inherently fascist, will bend the knee to anything that a man like Donald Trump wants once he has this power, which he will get again. And any kind of decorum or sense of like law or any of that kind of stuff is going to be washed away. It's very difficult for me to see any other chart than that. This idea that men like Hakeem or Infrared or myself are just going to be permitted to continue talking about the revolutionary movements of China and Russia just openly on the internet forever. History doesn't bear out that way. History doesn't bear out that way, unfortunately. And so, this is a good opportunity to say, if you want to get connected to my Discord, all you got to do is donate $1 to my Patreon. Put $1 in my Patreon, you get in my Discord. That means that you're connected to me, even if I get deplatformed. And if you donate $5, you get access to my music. So, what a great deal. What a great deal. You know, I just feel like I try to distance myself from the politics, right? I try to distance myself from the politics and sort of take that perspective that George Carlin takes, right? That George Carlin, people would ask him, like, you're dealing with pretty heavy subject matter. How do you stay sane? And he said, you know, I just disconnect from the outcome. Right? The stakes are low for me. It doesn't matter. I don't care where it goes one way or the other. I'm just here to watch the freak show. That's what George Carlin says. And I think there's something to that. But I'm really struggling with that today. That I'm taking all of this very personally, because it is very personal. People I know, people in this chat, people who are struggling and working and fighting are going to experience homelessness. And it's unavoidable at this point. I myself may experience homelessness. And what's so goddamn annoying about it is that we could just not. You know, it would be easy to prevent it. The prevention of all of this suffering, the prevention of all of this would be easy. It would be easy, right? Like passing something like a basic income is easy to do. Here in Canada, we already passed a basic income, right? It was called the CERB, and then we effectively dismantled it. We have a basic income for the elderly. We have a basic income for children, right? That's the old age pension and the child care benefit. They're easy to pass. The CERB was passed in less than a week. And now we've got, because of the dismantling of the CERB, its decline into the CRB. Yeah, I live in the inner city in Edmonton between Little Italy and Chinatown. I see houseless people every day suffering, and it pisses me off. But how do I change things? At this stage in the game, Karine, and I say this because we're all so spread out, right? If we were all in one spot, right? There's about 30 people who roll through here pretty regularly, right? If we were all in one spot, right? So 30 people, grab a friend, 60 people, grab a friend, right? It's not difficult. It wouldn't be difficult for 30 people to get 100 people to show up somewhere. But because we're all so spread out, the encouragement that I can give is that you have to get connected to non-political organizations, right? When I say non-political or non-party political organizations. So don't get connected to the NDP, don't get connected to the Liberals, don't get connected to the Conservatives, get connected to the Communists, get connected to the Socialists, right? Who are working independently. And through your connection to those movements, seek to surround the halls of power. That's all that can be done now. Electoralism will not save us, right? We won't be able to vote our way out of it. Surrounding the halls of power is all we have left. And they are going to try to distract us and get us back to like Wall Street or back to a bank or back to some place or just do a march or something like that. They don't care about any of that. The last thing they want us to do is to surround the halls of power. When the halls of power were surrounded, we got Richard Nixon to sign in some of the most liberal legislation, some of the most leftist legislation in America. When FDR was in power, the halls of power were surrounded by communists and socialists. It's the reason why they've got Social Security. It's the reason why they've got all of the benefits that they had, and they're steadily dismantling. Because the mistake that the communists and the socialists made is that they let the capitalists keep the means of production. And if there isn't a movement, if there isn't a socialist movement or a communist movement or some kind of third-party movement going on in your community, then it's you. It's very straightforwardly you. You're the one that needs to print the flyer. You're the one that needs to design the flyer. You're the one that needs to set the date, and you're the one that needs to show up on the date. It's you. There's no one else. And then when you go to your protest that you organized and nobody shows up, because that's exactly what's going to happen at first, you come in here and cry, and I'll cry with you. Because that's what we're doing here. You know the old adage, if you don't laugh, you'll cry? I choose cry. I choose it. Because it reminds us that we're human. It reminds us that we have feelings and a soul. It reminds us that there's more to this. There's more to our existence than just the meager survivalism that's being presented by the capitalist death cult. We can do so much better as a people. We have done so much better as a people. And the solutions to our problems are easy. They are. Like, if the people who are in power were genuinely interested in helping us, it would not be difficult for them to do so. That's what makes this all so embarrassing. That's what makes this all so embarrassing. That the solution to the problem is easy. It's not difficult. I traveled around Europe. In France, I saw a woman and her kids sleeping in the street. We brought them food. In Berlin, kids were searching for food in garbage cans. Yeah. Well, and the liberals themselves, like Chrystia Freeland, admits outright that this is a global phenomenon, right? She admits it outright. She says it straight out in public, in interviews, right? And she says it so that, like, oh, we'll have some sympathy for the liberals, but I don't have sympathy for them at all. I've got 0% sympathy for these liberals. Are you kidding me? What a joke. Like, what a joke. Oh, so it's a global phenomenon, and what's global? Oh, is it capitalism? So the problem is capitalism. So what you should be doing is restructuring your society in order to get away from capitalism. Oh, you're not doing that. Interesting. The bonus army, World War I veterans whose benefits had disappeared overnight during the Great Depression, surrounded the White House in 1932. A young General George S. Patton brought tanks and opened fire. Exactly. Yeah. You'll never hear that, right? You'll never hear that history. The history of the Union struggle, the history of the struggle of people against their own country. You'll never hear that. You'll never hear about Joe Hill. You'll never hear about the Unionists. You'll never hear about the Battle of Blair Hill. Is it Blair Hill? You'll never hear about, like, the coal companies dropping bombs. The first aerial bombardment on American soil was a coal company dropping bombs on striking union workers. You'll never hear that story. Someone came to look at a room I had for rent. He was aghast at how many people are on the streets here. He said, why don't they just do something about this? Yeah, and we could. Here's a song that I'd like to play. I'm going to play this song. This is a song that comes out of the Virginia coal mines when union workers were striking, right? Because what would happen is the coal mining companies would advertise that they would advertise a job at higher wages. And so people would come and they would pay those higher wages. What they didn't tell the people who were coming is that the company owned the land around the coal company and they would rent housing, and they owned what was called the company store, right? A general store where you could get your goods. And they set prices at higher than the rate of the wage that they would pay. And so the people who were working would have to plunge themselves into debt in order to survive while mining this coal. And so it was a type of slavery that they could never get out of. And that system is the system that is coming and that is in place already for us. The name of the song is 16 Tons. Some people say a man is made out of mud. Poor man's made of muscle and blood and skin and bone, and a mind that's weak and a back that's strong. You load 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. Well, if you see me coming, you better step aside. A lot of men didn't and a lot of men died. I got one fist of iron, the other's of steel. The right one don't get you, the left one will. You load 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. Well, a rich man, a poor man's there to suffer and bleed, to pay for a rich man's wealth and greed. Take this here shovel, get down in that earth. The money you make me, that's all that you're worth. You load 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul. Whoa, you load 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul. Whoa, you load 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. And it's up to us to keep these songs alive. It's up to us to keep these stories alive and to keep these stories going. We have to keep handing the baton from generation to generation to generation. Because we need to let our children know. We need to let our children know that there is a demon in these lands. That it masks itself with smiles and tries to lure you in with toys and presents and gifts, so that you'll sacrifice your entire life to perpetuate its horrific demonic nature. And that eventually, as we continue keeping alive an understanding that there's a demon in these lands, it will simply remove the mask put there to delight and amuse and distract us, and it will simply rule directly. And that's how we know we're winning. Because it'll become so desperate Rad, man. Thanks, Corrine. Rad. It's amazing that you're here in the chat today, Corrine. I gotta be honest with you. I love, it's just there's like such an existential quality to it. There's such a you're family, right? Like there's a family connection there. You're like a little beacon out in Alberta. It's so nice to have family in the chat. It's so nice. Homelessness creates demand for housing. If everyone had a shelter, the value of shelter drops like the value of labor necessary to create it. Yeah. No, and I mean like the homeless prices, like the spiking ridiculous nonsense that we're experiencing is happening because the billionaires are buying up all the property. Like that's what's going on. Like they're not, like the media, and like the media reports on it. I remember I read a report from the CBC, and the way they're doing it to obfuscate it is they're saying, oh, there's many things at play. Oh, there's many things at play, right? Look, here's a thing that affects the housing market by 1%. Here's a thing that affects the housing market by 5%, right? And then they'll literally be like, oh, by the way, the billionaires are buying up 30% of the properties. And you're like, excuse me? Excuse me? You're like, yeah, they're buying up 30% of the properties. Oh, shouldn't we talk about that more? No. Clearly the problem is immigration. That's my favorite. Clearly the problem is immigration. Obviously that's the problem, right? Hi, Vay. Man, it was so nice that Hakeem came in here. Wasn't that nice? I hope that was actually him. He said really great things. What nice things he said. I should print screen this. This is so nice. That was so nice of him to come in and say those kind words to me. And I'm glad that he listened to me. I'm glad that he heard what I had to say. Man. I'm still always waiting for the other shoe to drop on this channel, man. That's how my whole life has been. You know, anytime I build any kind of benefit, anything I do, anything, right, it just gets swept away. That's been my whole life. Just a series of disasters that I can't seem to get out of it. And so I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Waiting for the other shoe to drop. And when someone like Hakeem comes in here, right, or Infrared or any of these guys, when they come in here, it really gets me thinking, like, oh, I'm getting too big for my britches. I'm getting too big for my britches. That other shoe, here it comes. Yeah, it's always the immigrants, but what would our country be without them? Exactly. Can you believe that Florida has the lowest cases of COVID? Well, everybody already got it. Right? Like, everybody already got it. Like, it already happened. If I had kids, I would live in a box truck. Oh, yeah. Carting them around the world. Here's a great one from Existential Comics. News that will cause stocks to go up. A minimum wage increase is struck down. Employees are prevented from unionizing. Corporate taxes are reduced. Labor laws are relaxed. The stock market is not the economy. It's an estimate of how much wealth can be extracted from workers. Very clean statement here. And that's what I like about Existential Comics. It's always very clean. And this statement of how much wealth can be extracted from workers, right? Like, that's exactly right. That it's about wealth extraction at this point, which is why the liberals are not interested in doing anything, because they're participating in the process of wealth extraction. Our grandma was the coolest woman. Absolutely. You know, she wrote protest letters to the parliament when they interned the Japanese people in the Second World War. She was pissed that they did that to her neighbors. Yeah. What a beautiful woman Beth was. Absolutely. I think about her all the time. And sometimes when I was witnessing her decline, her elderly decline, I worried at the time that, oh, my image of her would be distorted into that image. But as I've gotten older, I come to see that image is there, certainly, but it's only increased how beautiful a person that she is to me. That it didn't actually make her less of a person in my eyes. If anything, it was the exact opposite. That Beth faced her death with grace and dignity and love and respect and openness and honesty. Yeah, Beth was an absolutely powerful woman. I wish I had known her when I was older. I think that's probably the only regret I have. And can you call that a regret? I wish I was older when I knew her. That's not how time works, unfortunately. Yeah, stock market rose when the European GDP fell by 20%. Exactly, because it just it siphons away. Where do you think that GDP fell to? It fell into the pockets of the billionaire class. The stock market would reach the end of the galaxy if billions of people died. Well, yeah, because that means that all that exists is for me, right? Like, the stock market would go out of its mind if only one person was alive, because all of the stuff that exists is mine. When I think of her, her hair is still dyed red in my mind. Oh, yeah. I got to spend so much time with her before she went on to the next phase. I mourned for that. I wish she could have known me as I am now. You know what's a nice thought that I think all the time, Corrine? Is that she does. I think that all the time. I know, buddy. A momentary silence. A momentary silence. Oh, I know, buddy. Now I'm talking to you. Clearly. There were ghosts. Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely, there were ghosts. I know, buddy. Yeah, peanut butter. Peanut butter is good. You got to protect that peanut butter. Animals, man. They make life ridiculous. And like, we're seeing Twitter kind of lose its mind a little bit, right? Twitter bans Ottawa law professor Amir Attaran for saying Trudeau should be tarred and feathered. Attaran defended his tweet, calling it an obvious metaphor and not an incitement of violence towards the Canadian Prime Minister. I would say more. I feel her with me though just now. You know what, Corrine? I'm gonna hit you with how I view the world in sort of a spiritual way. I've only got 10 minutes left, but I talk about this all the time on the channel, so everybody's used to this. Even the scientific community admits that we live in a quantum energy, right? That there is a singular energy that we all are in. That's why I end my channel by reminding everybody that you are a quantum being standing around in quantum energy, right? And if you actually read your theological tracts from Isaac Newton or Aquinas or any of these guys, Augustus is another good one, you find out that that's what they've been talking about this whole time too. That there's a singular energy that is the collection of all things that they call God. And so here's a singular energy that we're in, a quantum energy, right? And the question then becomes, well, is that sentient, right? And I usually say, well, it's at least sentient as I am, or you are, because we are of it and it is of us. And so what that means to me is that the energy that was Beth existed and lived and breathed on this plane of reality. And as it passed away in this plane of reality, it just was reabsorbed within the quantum energy, right? That even if you think about it on a strictly materialist way, well, Beth Wheeler is reabsorbed into the world physically. Well, physically is the quantum light or the quantum energy that we're in, isn't it? And so in some way, our ancestors are still with us. They're still around because they are reabsorbed into the singular energy. And when we dwell on our ancestors and when we dwell on the people who have passed us by, in a way we are summoning their energy. And we breathe life back in to their existence and back into who they were and what they stood for and who they are to us. And I've played enough songs and I've experienced enough passing of spirits through me to understand that I believe very strongly that the spirit of Beth Wheeler can come and just touch us very briefly as it comes out of the singular quantum energy. I know, buddy. Speaking of spirits, what spirit is Milo seeing? Spirits and ghosts and ghouls and goblins. I know, buddy. I know. And I know that talking this way can sound very crankish, right? I'm absolutely certain that there are people who think that I'm an absolute lunatic sometimes. But I don't really care. Because there is so much more going on than we understand. We have not even scratched the surface of what is happening. And frankly, it's just a nice thought, isn't it? It's just a nice thought that the people who we have loved, who have left us behind, can revisit us and just gently comfort us or console us. You're absolutely right, Ruth. John, we are all lunatics sometimes. Well, and frankly, I think that it behooves us to reintroduce the idea of spirituality into our conversations. I think a big reason we've gotten into the trouble we've gotten into is that we have actually stopped talking about something like a spirit or a human spirit. Something like the concept of society really requires an understanding that there is a shared energy that we all exist within. And we just don't talk about that. We don't consider it, and we don't actually communicate that to each other. And I think it's gotten us into a lot of trouble, frankly. And we're going to pay for it very dearly. I know, buddy. You're so burfy. It's been a kind of a quiet ending to this one, you know? What a strange night. And you know what? I got to stop saying that it's a strange stream, because I feel like they're just going to get stranger. Don't you think? I get goosebumps and stuff. Yeah. Well, I mean, this was fun. I will jump in again sometime, going to do stand-up comedy most nights, so I won't be here. Keep on keeping on, cousin. And pop in anytime, Corinne. Tell your friends and family, tell everybody, tell the world. Tell the world that I exist, Corinne. Let's start a movement in Alberta. What do you think? Start breaking it up. It's been absolutely wonderful to have you here, Corinne. I'm so happy that you are here. How lovely. How lovely indeed. Oof. We are in the waning minutes. It seems like the spammers have decided to leave us be. A small blessing. A small blessing. I'm a former pastor. Oh, there you go. Now leftist and atheist, after rejecting religion to my own financial detriment. I don't know what to do with spiritual talk except to say you do you. Yeah, I mean, there's some truth to that, mate. Well, I mean, and there's been very powerful people who have followed the path that you're exactly talking about. And I shared your link with my commie friends. It's been sweet. Lovely. How lovely. To me, grinning, I sort of think, it's been easy to reject what is called spirituality in America because it's so absurd, right? Yeah, I love shrooms, though, yeah. That's a little gift, right? A little gift from the earth itself. And especially the modern evangelical movement. What churches were you with, if you don't mind me asking? The modern evangelical movement is very easy to reject, right? It's not hard to reject people who are lunatics. It's not hard to reject people who believe that God is a being that exists within the universe who bestows wishes by Midwestern housewives, right? It's not, yeah, Pentecostal evangelical. Absolutely, bud. Absolutely. Because the evangelicals present things as if, first of all, the Bible is to be taken as a magical, mystical document, that it's a literal thing, that Jesus was actually walking around, doing magic, right? And that God is a creature that exists within the confines of the universe. So that's easy to reject. And the new atheist movement did a really good job of it. But things are much more complex than that and much more difficult than, and so once you reject the evangelicals, which is easy to do, they're fucking frauds, like complete frauds, well, then you can start thinking about, like, we know we live in this singular energy, the quantum energy. We know. That's just scientific fact. That's quantum mechanics. If you reject that, then you're just in Looney Tunes town. So my question, and I won't go any deeper than this because we're out of time, Grinning, but it's something to dwell on. It's something to think about, if only for your entertainment and maybe while you're on a mushroom trip. Is the energy sentient? I have my own thoughts on that, but I'll leave that with you. I'll leave that with you. Jesus was the literal hippie of the 60s. Yeah, dude. Jesus knew what was up. I recommend people read that Bible, man. Read it like you were reading the works of Shakespeare. Like, read it like it's a fiction document. Who cares? Right? I think one of the biggest problems that we have as a culture is no one's actually read the Bible. We've ceded that ground to the lunatics. No. No. I'll report on sentience when I do DMT. For sure, bud. For sure. That's a wild trip, dude. That's a wild trip. Yeah. You can only handle so much. I know people who definitely do too much. Like, definitely too much. They've like untethered from reality. But ever so often. All right, guys. We have reached the end of the stream. What a blessed stream it was. Thank you, each and every one of you, for being here today. Thank you, each and every one of you, for being here today. This was what an emotional journey this was for me tonight. I feel so grateful and I feel so blessed, and I'm so happy that each and every one of you were here. And always remember, you are a divine being standing in divine energy. These guys are spending hundreds of billions of dollars to make you forget it. Don't let them. And Grinning, come in earlier one time. Let's have a throwdown. Let's have a throwdown. Let's really, really chat about it, okay, bud? I would love to. All right. Good luck. We're going to need it.